So, thank you very much for joining me today. At the outset, I must convey my sincere gratitude to All India Agriculture Students Association and especially Dr. Ashish for this great initiative. And it's a great pleasure again to be amongst you in a very, very difficult, trying time when the entire humanity is being challenged and it's struggling hard. And the nature on its own course trying to reclaim through its own mechanism. For the last few days, you had an excellent deliberation from some of the stalwarts of the country. But today, I'm going to interact entirely on a different issue. And it is going to be more specifically designed for those who are likely to opt or choose their respective field of specialization or stream of study after finishing their school level examination, which will be very, shortly they are going to finish that. As well as this session will be, useful, I feel, for those who are already in this branch of applied professional science. Friends, choosing a right stream at the beginning has a long-lasting impact on students' future in an age of a huge cutthroat competition. And good judgment, when I said that yes, taking a decision is very, very, difficult, but at the same time, good judgment, right kind of aptitude, coupled with your guidance in right direction is always going to be a key issue in this process. Believe me, for anyone in this universe, it's always going to be a challenging task. But at the same time, what I feel that one must be exposed, one must be, well versed to all possible available options before him or her, whoever is taking this decision, a very, very delicate, a very, very crucial decision of his or of our life. And in this process, what I believe that, there will be three gentlemen who is going to make this process a smoother one. And if you have a perfect alignment, right? If you have a perfect alignment of these three individuals which I mentioned, you will be always in a win-win situation. So when I talked about those three, different components who is just going to align, and better alignment is always going to give you better result. So in that, definitely your student is going to be one very, very, all of you can understand that is going to be, student himself is going to be very, very important in that. Because when I say student, basically what I'm trying to mean is, because every student, he or she is having his inner soul voice. So whether he or she is supporting that particular inner soul voice, that one has to look at. He or she knows his weakness and strength. And he or she is, knows that what excites him or her. He is more acquainted with the responsibilities, personal responsibilities, priorities, financial strength, and flexibility in the changing the path. So this is, within the arena of a particular student who is one of the component here. And the next component, again a very important one, but to me I feel they must play a supplemental role. But they're the real, strength assessor for a particular student. They shouldn't, at any point of time, should not insist their own choice. They should give a complementary advice. And at the end, definitely, the teachers. After your parents, definitely your teacher is going to be very, very teachers, or you can put it, nowadays people are putting it counselors. So they are going to play a very, very crucial role. So through this exposure, I'm not going to forcefully make you or want you to take any biased decision or judgment in your life at your end. But definitely I will make sure I will enable you to decide wisely among the best possible options with the existing infrastructure and resources you have. Now, if you look at agriculture is not a stream, my dear friends, which is in the priority list, which is in the wish list by any sharpest brain, by any, sharpest or the best brains. It is not there. Even the mediocre, they don't have it in their priority list even. But definitely there are exceptions as well. I know, many of them, they left medical engineering to join agriculture, but the cases are very few. There are students who opt this stream after, maybe consecutive attempt in JEE or NEET exam. And after finishing the final year, once they are in this particular stream, they are in a huge and tremendous peer pressure, whether it is from the family or whether it is from themselves, and ultimately which provoke those people, those guys, to take a decision, a very, very a decision which is, I do not know whether they are comfortable with. So they may be, they are taking, as I said, that they are within that particular peer pressure. They are going to join, maybe many of them are going to join even banking sector. And it happened because of that particular age, because, as I said initially, that they have lost few initial years because for, those competitive exams, appearing on those particular exams for a consecutive times. And also you have a societal pressure. I have, quite a number of such examples even in our university as well. I know many of my brightest, sharpest mind, even, some of them are gold medalists. They join a bank. But now I know that they had a huge potential, which unfortunately me as an individual or we couldn't explore, we couldn't harvest or couldn't utilize. We couldn't able to convert those, intellects. I know many of them, they're like anything, particularly in their subject. But we couldn't able to, convert those intellects into your discoveries, into your innovations mediated by them. So we have missed that. So the resultant effect is that yes, mediocre brain always prevails in the perception of the rest of the folk, the rest of the part of the world, that yes, mediocre brain always prevails in particularly this particular stream. And with that particular human resource, because as I said, we are not able to attract a few from those cream ones, right? So this sector, if you look at even that within this purview or with these particular mediocre brains, this sector has contributed for the growth and development of this country like anything compared to any growing field. If you look at the successes, the way we converge science to practice, it's impeccable. for the, when I say convergence of science towards practice, we are looking for the last man in the row, and that is our destination. So if you just compare with the other, growing science, whether it's engineering, space, software, medical science, across the race, community, and ecology, you will find that we have contributed like anything. And if you look at this contribution, it's a mammoth contribution. From, merely 50 million tons to almost, 293, you can put it 300 million tons. Even at this difficult time, and because of, we have a huge buffer stock, and we have made it a practice and it's a continuing practice of doing better every time, every year. The statistics gets, brighter. So whether it is, food grain production, as I said, it's almost 300 million tons. Whether it is milk, 117 million tons. Whether it is, meat, 7.5 million tons. Whether it is, horticultural produce, 315 million tons. We are either placed either one or two. And with, if you look at the resources we have, with only, 2.4% of your world area, 4.2% of your world water, 17% of your human population, 11% of your livestock production, and you have, 141 plus minus 2 million hectare of your cultivated area, 65 million hectare of your irrigated area. This particular primary industry or enterprise has an unparalleled, sustained contribution for this growth and development of this country. If you look at those contribution in terms of GDP, it is always, 15% contribution to your GDP. 13% of your total exports and gross value addition is around, 18.55 lakh crores. And involving a mere population of, because if you look at those particular, technical technical professionals who are involved, it's around, more than 1,25,000. And you have, almost around 1,30,000 professionals involved in these agri-allied activities, right? So they are involved in this process. They are involved in this particular facilitation. They are involved in this mediation. They are involved there, intervening in between and in the lifeline of your country. So this was basically the background that prompted many of us to be here, to be in this particular field. Friends, at the same time, we must be very, very, feel fortunate enough that we have a very strong agricultural education system in the country for ensuring your sustainable agriculture development as well as your livelihood security. And definitely with your consistent and persistent support from your Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And that resulted actually, tremendous improvement in your infrastructure, in your skilled manpower, as well as the capacity building of your faculty as well as your firms. In the country, we have 64 state agricultural universities, right? 4 deemed universities, 3 central universities, and around 310 private university and colleges. But my dear friends, it's very important to mention here that before taking admission, one must be very, very careful. One must check regarding the accreditation status. And these accreditation status is being awarded by your Indian Council of Agriculture Research after a critical review, after a constant monitoring, and definitely based on your infrastructure which you created, based on the resources which you generated, based on the resources you have been able to, make available for your students, the employability of your students, the skill development of your students. So based on all that, this accreditation status is being given. And you must be very, very careful once you are taking a decision, once you are taking an admission for a particular institute, because the validity of your earned degree is going to be very, very important, and it is based on that actually. In the country, if you look at the subjects, because when you talked about these agricultural sciences, we have 20 major subjects, 20 major subject groups and 93 sub-subject groups, in which there are different degrees are awarded, whether at undergrad level or graduation level, or maybe post-graduation level, whether it is related to your agriculture, whether it is related to your horticulture, whether it is related to your forestry, whether it is related to your fishery, whether it is related to dairy technology, whether it is related to your BTech in agricultural engineering. And definitely, if you want to ensure your admission, or if you want to be in this particular network, at national level, ICR basically conducts an examination for admission at undergraduate, graduate and postgraduate level. Apart from your state level arrangement is there. There are many states where they conduct your combined entrance test. There are in some states they used to take it from the rank which you are getting from your state level engineering and medical exam. And in some states, it is on the basis of your 10+2 marks. And I can tell you, the states which are taking on that particular basis 10+2 marks definitely are making it a point here that you have a homogeneous sort of audience, right? And central university like whether it's BHU or Vishwabharati, they also have their own examination system. It's a very, very rigorous examination system, whether it is UET or PET. I can tell you the last year, for only 120 seats, there are more than 75,000 applications were there. So you can always, understand that how competitive it is. But beauty of these exams, whatever exams I just, spell, so they also include a hands-on fellowships. They also include contingencies apart from a confirmed seat based on your rank, based on your performance. So, it will be there once you clear this sort of exam. So you have an opportunity as well to select your dream institute based on your desirity, based on your rank. You can also, think over there. And the national level, we have almost 1,200 to 1,500 seats at undergrad level, particularly through your ICR exam. And as I said, you have a handsome fellowship. The scholarship is 36,000 per annum. You have under grad level 2,563 seats, and where your scholarship is around 1,75,000. And there are at PhD level you have 202 seats, where the fellowship will be around 4 lakhs per annum. So it's a huge amount. Apart from these, there are state level fellowships as well. There are state Mandi boards, minority cell, your rural development board, as well as you have some central government funded fellowships are also there, whether it is through AICTE, whether it is through MHRD, or whether it is through your UGC. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad or RGNF fellowships are all there. DST Inspire fellowship is there. And at the same time, you are also privileged to make a lateral entry into your IIT system. BTech agricultural engineers, they can always do that through those GATE exam. But at the same time, those BSc guys, they can also make this entry through your IIT JAM exam. There are number of cases, number of successful cases are there. And if you look at, and that is possible, as I said, there are many students. And if you look at the international fellowships, definitely ICR has a very good platform. You have almost 15 fellowships under the platform of your Subhash Chandra Bose International Fellowship, where you need to have appear for an interview. You need not to have those sort of whether TOEFL, IELTS or GRE sort of exam. And you need to have a letter from that collaborating institute, and who will just give that certificate that yes, he or she we don't have any problem. We will be able to give him or her that sort of accommodation in our lab, right? So if you have a strong project, so always you have a chance. Apart from this, you have your Aspire fellowship is there. It's a very new fellowship. It's a very good one. And at the same time, you have a fellowship from the World Academy of Science to us. Whether it is for your PhD, whether it is for your postdoctoral fellowship. And another fellowship, which give huge impetus for those, postgraduate students, because it is going to make an inculcation, or it's trying to just put a bridge between industry and academia. So you have a linkage between industry and academia. Whatever output you are getting from your research, whether it is going to be scalable. So you have a chance to look at it. You can just deploy your result and can come out with flying colors, definitely. And at the same time, I know and I understand that many of you might be aspiring very high, and they wanted to have a degree from the best universities of the world, from those institutes of academic excellence, right? So there is always an age. If you have a degree from agricultural science, if you wanted to pursue those particular education from those particular places, definitely you have an age, as I said, with a good reasonable score in your GRE, in your TOEFL or IELTS, and you can always crack this sort of fellowship, crack this sort of exam. And I know there are few institutes in India, like your BHU, like your Punjab Agriculture University, like your TNU, like your Institute of Agriculture Science, Bengaluru. So they have a very, very persistent record. For our case in BHU, it is 100% success rate. Whoever was applicant, he or she got a beautiful, very handsome fellowship and everything. Now, getting a full fellowship, because there are few clauses are there as well. So getting a full fellowship with full reimbursement is always a bit tricky one. So definitely here also your subject is going to matter a lot. I'm not going to just make any bias point here, but definitely if it is from your natural resource management or land sciences, they always have an age in the success rate compared to your social sciences. But social sciences, there are applicants who also got success. So you have to be here, the point you need to remember is you have to be very, very careful in writing your statement of purpose, SOP, and choosing your recommender, right? Choosing your recommender is a very, very important issue, and generalized comment and observation doesn't help in many cases. Now I know many of the students, apart from these, whoever is taking whoever took admission in SAUs, they also struggle for getting a fellowship. But there are handsome options are there, and handsome options from your corporate sector. Although all of us know that agricultural research is basically a capital intensive one, and it's a long gestation period is there. And you will be amazed to know that there are few groups with whom you are all conversant with. Every day you are using all those service provider, and they are the huge funding agencies. They are the huge agencies which is giving huge fellowship. Can you imagine that? Yes, Amazon is topping the list, although it has 37th place if you look at the total business outlay and all that. The Facebook having a 67th place, but it is giving fellowship, it is giving it is just putting money in research. So they are the front runner. Whether, as I said, Amazon, everybody knows it, Facebook, everybody knows it, but they are the front runner, as I said, apart from your Volkswagen Foundation from Germany, Intel, Samsung, Apple, Microsoft. So they spend a sizable amount in agricultural research. And even in corporate sectors in India as well. After that particular Companies Act, which came into existence in 2014 by Government of India. Now, every company, they used to put money in your CSR fund. So this is a huge advantage for your researcher, even for people who are doing dissertation, your MSc or MTech level. Under, as I said, that Companies Act has made it possible. And if you have a viable innovative project, funding in the form of fellowship is not going to be an issue. If you look at, as I said, Indian corporate sectors, whether it is Tata, 20,000 crores, and maybe 7 to 8% they used to put it in agriculture, but still it's a huge amount. Reliance, Mahindra and Mahindra, they have a huge scheme, Mahindra and Mahindra Samriddhi. So they also spend huge money, 2,000 crores. Well, they also spend 800 crores. So there are other agencies, Inda Saint Foundation, Sant Nirankari Charitable Foundation, there are North-South Foundation, Colgate-Palmolive. And there are few agencies, they very specifically sponsor, BSc, your undergrad and grad level students, particularly girls. You're fair and lovely. Your GP Birla, they, specifically fund your girls. As I said, Mahindra Samriddhi is one, very important one. You have your Foundation for Excellence. You have your HDFC Bank. There is one very important agency in Haryana, Promotion of Science Education, POSE. They are also funding. You have your Dhirubhai Ambani Fellowship is there. You have your, Rotary Foundation. You have your, Ajim Premji Foundation. You have your SBI Fellowship. They specifically, put it for your rural development, right? So these are, multiple vendors who is going to sponsor you. And at the same time, during your undergrad or grad, you also entitled for several prestigious internship, mostly in summer and few cases in winter as well. Whether it is, I.Ag.Sc, INSA, ISER fellowship, whether it is, there are few places in IITs and NITs, they also, sponsor those summer internship. There are few banks, your regional Grameen Bank, your NABARD, they also sponsor. Your Niti Aayog, they also sponsor. And there are, input industries there always. There are corporate sector, big corporate sector like Microsoft, they also sponsor your, this internship, particularly even in agriculture. So, well, now the most important or pertinent question which is that I wanted to pose is that this subject, which is, catering the requirement for your young folks with reference to the sharpest brain, as I initially said, the best brain, how to attract them. Basically, we have an advantage India. The Indian youth is basically, it's a mixture of your conservative and you have a higher end one, whether it is in science, whether it is in culture. So they have a mix of these two. So it's a mix of conservative and higher end science in research and aptitude. And they are already, interconnected generation. Before they are starting in a stream, they are already interconnected. And these people, they always prefer challenging projects. They prefer interdisciplinary work. And they have an inclination towards your software, towards your biotechnology, towards your machine learning, towards your artificial intelligence, towards your social engineering. So these are the happenings actually, in the ongoing fourth industrial revolution. And agriculture may not be an exception here. So now for us, the priority is definitely we will be looking for innovation in your research use. Whether it is with reference to your land, whether it is with reference to your water, whether it is reference to your energy. If I take it, or if I just give you an example with reference to your input. Input is a sector which is a very, very energy intensive sector, right? So can we come with a formulation with a low energy intensive ones. Because if I tell you, for 1 kg of NPK, it costs around 108 megajoule. For 1 kg of insecticide or herbicide, it is going to be around 225 megajoule. Just imagine. For fungicide, it is around 92 megajoule. But at the same time, if you look at some of the bioformulations, I will talk about some of them with some of the intervention of those startups. And if you look at those formulations particularly, their energy consumption, if it is a solid formulation, only 0.3 megajoule. And if it is a liquid formulation, only 0.01 megajoule. So we want innovation, particularly in this particular area. And at the same time, we want a boost efficiency. We want a efficiency of our agri ecosystem. And here particularly lies your scope. We wanted to introduce your precision agriculture. We wanted to use your big data analytics. Already people are using it. We wanted to use your digital soil mapping. I.Ag.Sc or ACES, whatever it is, it's getting a huge money from your Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. So these are your areas. We want intervention in drones. We want, as I said already, your artificial intelligence is going to be one very important part. Internet of technology is going to be another part. We have already, driverless tractor technology, auto cart. We have, John Deere came up with that particular technology already in the country. We wanted to, use your blockchain technology because previously we had a false impression that it is going to be only used in your cryptocurrency. But it's not like that. If you wanted to see the decentralization of your transaction, definitely your blockchain laser is going to give you a huge success here, which is capable to record your planting to harvest to storage to delivery, every operation. We want some sensors who are capable to assess those abiotic stresses. Farm management software, so you want some decision support softwares. Already people are coming up with this. And at the same time, we want gene manipulation. CRISPR genetic editing surgery is always there. It's coming up heavily. You can always alter your genome. You can cut and replace your specific part of your DNA as per your desirity. So these are your couple of the areas where we need more intervention, we need more mediation, we need more innovation at your regional level, at your local level, at even if I put them at your Gram Panchayat level. That is likely to change your future. Now, if you want to be competitive in this particular science, because once you are here, definitely you have to be very, very competitive one. You have to make yourself very, very competitive. You have to make an age in this profession. And you have to equip, you have to update yourself on real-time basis. What's going on around? And this is definitely with reference to knowledge, definitely with reference to your exposure, and definitely with reference to your skill. So you have resources. You have your online courses. Whether it is your digital agriculture, whether it is your data management, whether it is your natural resource management, right? Plant sciences. So there are, AG MOOCs are available. You have your EDX courses are available. Coursera is there. Class Central is there. Studycom.com is there. Learn.com is there. So, you have to be very, very vigilant. You have to be very, very vibrant. And at the same time, you have to well versed with all protocols related to analysis of, whether I said those, physical, chemical, microbiological analysis. You have to be, well versed with all instruments, their makeup, their developments, how their, things are changing, as well as some of your computer languages. This is very, very important, whether it is C, C++, Java, whether it is Python, whatever it is. So, and at the same time, you need to be, very careful about your statistical software. Means that updation is also needed. So apart from these, whatever skill you have, it is related to, it may be, related to your writing. And particularly, we are not getting, good, that sort of, converter with reference to your regional language. We don't have enough of literature with reference to your regional language. So if you have that capability, so keep on inculcating that sort of habit. If you have, that habit of cartooning, I know there are few guys who worked on these, and there are few, multinationals, they hired those people to make a story based on those cartooning. So you may have an editorial skill. You can, you have to keep on working with all this, whatever skill you have. People are there. People are there. You need not to, search those people. People will just search you. If you have that in you, definitely people are there to outsource your skill. And you will be paid for this. And once, during the process of learning, you are earning something, earn while you learn. This is going to be a wonderful. And it will make learning more exciting, I think, right? So this can add huge to the whole process of this inclusive growth and development for an individual. And practicing all these, and you become more confident again. And the next important issue is, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe, you have to, give, that sort of fascination towards your imagination. You have to just, keep on working with your imagination, your innovations. People have these, but, many a time I found that they're very shy. They don't come out with their idea. But once they come out, they are all winners. And because, as I said, there are innovations so-called. There are you have innovation showcases there. And these are, powered by whether it is IITs, NITs, even your Confederation of Indian Industry. They actually, even many universities, Hyderabad University, they have a huge platform. And moreover, and overall, the government of India is coming up with many such platforms. We have Agri-Udan Accelerator. We have Raptar program, and under that you have Ankuran and Prashputan. We have Agri Grand Challenge. We have, Yes Bank Transformation Series. This is a wonderful one again. Last year, I was there once those initial proposals came, and I was astonished to find that almost 80% proposals were from agriculture. And ultimately, the winner was who came up with a sensor and an app, which is basically for your agriculture. And this is a very, very encouraging moment for all of us if you look at the startup ecosystem in the country. And as I said, it is, distinctly agri flavor is there always. You have an age. 90% of the projects, as I said, pertaining to solution, I was a member of this innovation cell in IIT Kharagpur and IIT BHU. There I found that 90% of the projects were, pertaining to solutions addressed to your diversified challenges in agriculture, whether they understand agriculture or not. But they are, coming up with those sort of projects, whether it is related to your marketing, whether it is related to your resource sharing, whether it is related to your quality control, and whether it is related to your precision agriculture. So as of now, there are almost 500, agri-tech startups are there in the country, which is run by students like you. And in many cases, graduates, many cases IITians, many cases from IIM graduates. So even you can start, as a student of an agriculture, you can start thinking over these from your MSc, from your MTech, from your PhD, from your MBA project work. So you can, keep on thinking on this particular line or on this particular direction as well. There are many success stories, I can tell you. There are many success stories. And we have one success story from your IIT Delhi, AgroWave. It's related to your supply chain. We have, success stories from your IIT Mumbai, Truce. We have success stories from, IIT Kharagpur and IIT Delhi, Behat. It's growing like anything. It's contributing like anything. in this eastern part of India. We have husk power system in IIT BHU, and even I understand that by this time many of the universities, they might have come up with many of these sort of startup. Even in our university we have 2-3, they are functioning like anything. One is your Kishan Call, another is your Kishan Call 24/7, another is your Pure Vita, and they are all alumnus of our institute. And as a matter of fact, once you have all these within yourself, definitely you have your opportunities, you have your destination for multiple places. So whether it is the National Agricultural Research Education System, which covers a huge area, you have your 65 ICR institutes, 60 AICRP, 19 networking projects. So definitely the technical staff, scientists, directors, so they're all agri graduates or agri postgraduates or PhD in agriculture. So you have a huge opportunity here. You have an opportunity in your state agriculture universities. As I already mentioned, the deemed universities, I mentioned central agriculture universities, I mentioned, even in private universities. I know a few people, after having a degree and they're getting a competitive grant in even private universities, having a degree from abroad, and they're getting a very competitive grant. There are places, even in IITs you have a chance. Kharagpur is there, Delhi is there, in Mumbai is there, you have a chance. And Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare is there. You have boards of commercial crops, you have a banking sectors, you have CGI institutes, you have your input industry, you have state level positions is there. You have consultancy related to your NGOs and all these. You have opportunities in your agriculture journalism, freelance writing is there. Above all, whatever opportunities as I mentioned, you have your own company. You can think about your own company. You can think about your startup. You can think of about your organization which will support many. So I have seen a few queries that related to the farmers' welfare. We have a definitive role to play here. And what I feel that hope generation is an important task here. Because in the country, there is a dearth of hope generators. Who is going to generate hopes? Being in this profession, all of us have to take a pledge to generate hope, at least in one individual in your lifetime, by supporting or maybe sharing services or mentoring. Because if you look at, people always, give the example of doctors, medical doctors. So for 1,600 Indians, you have one medical doctor. But if you look at the agriculture, it is one certified crop doctor for a jurisdiction of 300 hectares. It is a moral responsibility to render that for the farming community. The thing I am mentioning here because we have a 600 million young people under the age of 25 years with a cohort or like-mindedness. And it is going to be an asset. And this is always a owner's pride, but it is always a neighbor's envy. But unfortunately, among these huge folk, we have only 2.5% had a formal training skill. But if you look at the other developed world, if you look at South Korea, they have 96%. So we have to work hard in this particular area to materialize our Prime Minister's initiative, Skill India initiative. And as I said, this science is the fastest growing dynamic discipline. What was relevant yesterday may not be relevant now. What is relevant now may not be relevant tomorrow. So that means which warrants a huge vigilance, sensitivity, and our preparedness. So there is an enthusing atmosphere, I can tell you. The sharpest mind, guys, the sharpest brain people, that which warrants our vigilance, sensitivity, and as I said, our preparedness. And there is an enthusing atmosphere in the country, as I mentioned, which is all around with reference to whether it is related to infrastructure, whether it is related to policy, whether it is related to commitments. But we need people like you. We need people who are very competent, who are very self-reliant, who are very smart, who are capable to, swiftly adjust with the ever-changing societal requirement. And agriculture, I strongly believe, is going to be the preferred destination for many of you. And with our commitment, we will be able to make a plausible impact, and which is very important for your sustenance of your economic development. So I will end up here. If you have any questions, you can always text me or you can get back to me through different media. So thank you very much.